Morning guys, welcome back to the channel and to this update video here at the car pitch in Crewe. What has been going on? Well, we've gone from famine to feast. We've gone from literally having hardly any cars, worrying about getting stock in, to being effectively overstocked now. Let me show you what I mean in a minute, because the situation is getting a little bit tight on the pitch and we now need to get into selling mode for Christmas. So I'll go and tell you what's been going on, what's sold, what's going out, what's coming in, and what else has been going on here at the car pitch as well. Let's go and have a look outside. Right, a bit windy today, so I've got the old wind muffler on, so hopefully that should keep the wind at bay for you on the noise side. What have we got first? Well, this Mondingo. This Mondeo is back from the valeters. Now,
Remember, those of you eagle-eyed in our channel, it was over yonder here. It was been there for a good month or so. This was a 2 litre petrol, 2010 plate Ford Mondeo. Now, it came in with a bad knackered fuel pump, which you can see in this picture here. Had the fuel pump off. Next door did this job for us, and yeah, you can see here in this picture it had a burnt out terminals on the fuel pump. Very common on the petrol Mondeos, not just this shape, but also the previous shape as well. Used to pack up, particularly the 1.8 petrol Mondeos are quite susceptible to that. But anyway, got a new pump for it. Wasn't particularly dear actually, about 68 quid, and a little bit of vodka and tonic, that's VAT by the way, on top from the Euro car parts for a brand new one, which was cheap I thought, to be honest. Started it up, new fuse in it as well because it blown the fuse, fired straight into life, and drives like an absolute gem. Done 114,000 miles. It's in like a champagne colour. It's a bit like between olive and Jewish racing gold, we call it, somewhere around there. So I quite like the colour, but some people might find it a bit marmitey. But the car is very clean. Valet's done an amazing job as always. So it's lovely and clean in there. 5-speed manual, it's done 114,000. So it's a little bit mileagey, but it has been a well looked after car. You can tell it's got a little bit of history on it. It's got decent tyres on it, 4 Avon tyres, the brakes aren't that old. Someone's done the trailing arm bushes on it as well, which is really common on Mondeos. So someone's been spending money at it, and they've probably just, the pump's gone on them, and they've just decided that they've spent probably enough, because it looks like they've had brakes on it, tyres on it, and bushes on it probably in the last year or so, and then the pump's gone, and they've probably gone, do you know what, get rid of it. But their loss is now a gain. So we gave 600 quid for it. At the moment that's standing as not much over £700 mark. There probably is a little bit more we need to spend on it, but it's not a million miles off, and it's ready now to go on the pitch. I'm just going to shove the dehumidifier in it in a minute, because the valeters have obviously shampooed all the seats, and at the moment this time of year when you start, see these, it's quite dry actually, but I might just put it in for an hour just to make sure. You need to start putting dehumidifiers in cars because they come back from valeters wet, and in this weather now it gets damp and that you're never going to get them dry. So a good old dehumidifier, put them in there, will suck the life out of these cars and get the water out of it. Otherwise you just be constantly fighting condensation, and it's obviously not great on the pitch, and they start to smell as well. So we'll have to throw that in a minute. What else have we got going on? Well, as you can see here, there's a bit of space in the middle. So you might think, well, what are you on about, Lee? It's not too well packed, you've got loads of room. Well, actually, you've got to bear in mind, we've got 13 cars that aren't here, i.e. not on site, they need to come here. I've got 3 cars being dropped off today. I've got God knows how many at the auction I need to pick up. I've got a few at valet as well. I've got a few at paint. I've got some as well in storage at a friend's place. We've got quite a lot of cars. I've also got cars at dealers I need to pick up. Cars that need to be underwritten, as you say, and I need to pick them up. Now I can probably delay them for a little while, but dealers are going to be on to me to pick them up. So yeah, we're in a bit of a tight situation. We've started to ram every corner. There was a lot more on here yesterday, but we've moved a few off to valet and stuff like that. So effectively, there's not enough room here for the cars that we've actually physically bought. And like I said, we've gone from being understocked 10-12 days ago to on a massive spree of buying, which is great. So we've had a good run at the auction. We won 4 or 5 at the auction, which is great. And then we've obviously had a few trade-ins that we've bought, and then I've got a ruck of people coming with private stuff we bought. Just been a bit of a run at the moment, which is handy as well, because at the auction recently it's been really difficult to try and buy the sort of stuff that I'm buying. It's been a bit hard, but I said we'd had one good week at the auction, and that could just change it for you. It was just one of those days where we just had a really good day at the auction, just cleaned up and got 4 or 5 cars. So that's put us in good stead, and then obviously, like I said, we've had a run on other bits. So yeah, we're now in a bit of a predicament getting stuff ready to go on sale. We've got a big group of cars there. We've got stuff that is going to part exchanges that need to go, so I trade them on or send them to auction ourselves, and then obviously we've got the new stuff coming in. So We haven't got any room, so we need to sell. We have sold some, which have took a while to get prepped. Actually, they've been a bit troublesome, but we've got there in the end. So they're going out. So I've got the we've got going out. I've got a couple of Corsas going out, which are inside. We've got the Focus going out, which is at Valet, and we've also got the C1, which is going out today as well. Weather's today's looking reasonably okay. A bit of a cloudcast this morning, but it should brighten up later on, so hopefully we can get people on the pitch. If we can get a couple sold in the next few days, I'll be really happy. That'll sort of ties along nicely. Right, latest additions to the pitch, what's been coming on. We've seen a few bits in my last update video. We've got this C1 that's come in. This is bought off a friend of mine, actually, Martin, if you're watching. This is his C1, or was his C1. It's a little free road tax vehicle, 14 plate, that's done 42,000 miles. Had a bit of work done to it recently, wheel bearings and stuff like that. So it's had a bit of tickling done to it. Nice old thing, clean. Some very minor mark on it. I think it's got the mark on this little bumper here at the bottom. A little scratch has been touched in, but we're not going to bother with that. We've paid okay money for it, and we've got it priced at good money. It's 2,995 on a 14 plate with 42,000 miles. Now some of you eagle-eyed might think, well, that sounds rather cheap. It's cheap because it's actually a previous registered vehicle, so it's been on the V-car register, so it is a category N, obviously been repaired. It was damaged on the front wing a few years ago. It's been repaired, so that's why it's priced like that. If it wasn't categorised, it wasn't a Cat N, which is what we called old Cat D, it would be a 3,995 car all day long. That's the book price on it. You wouldn't be able to buy one of these for what I paid for if it wasn't had a previous marker on it. But it drives like new. It's done 42,000 miles. It's a lovely car. Free road tax, like I said, 50 to the gallon. And that's the last of the old shape as well on the 14 plate. I went to the new shape then. Most of them had the later engines in, which weren't very good, although you could buy the old engine still. Yes, it's a nice old thing. I've priced it sensibly. It is, I've checked online, the cheapest in the area by miles. It probably should have been 32, 33.95, but there's just enough margin there for what I'm happy with. We haven't had to do a lot to it, so I'm happy with that margin in it. And obviously, just put it sensibly. If you start to creep above £3,000, you start to get that question then of, well, do I spend another £600, £700, £800 more and buy one not on the register, or do I buy this one that's priced sensibly, on the cheaper end of the market, should we say? So I know it's cheap at 2,995, but obviously you've got that marker on it. But like I say, if you didn't want one with a marker on it, go buy one for £4,000. If you're not bothered about stuff like that, which wouldn't bother me at all, then save yourself a packet and buy a very, very low mileage car that's going to cost you nothing to tax, so no money in the hands of the government, which is always nice. We've got a Dacia that's landed. We've seen this in an update video. We've got that in. Not done much to that other than put a pricing board in it, and to be honest with you, it does drive absolutely sensational. So if you've seen that in the one of my latest videos, we picked that up from the auction. It drove absolutely spot on. Lovely thing, again, cheap tax, diesel, 1.5 DCI, really nice car on a 15 plate, good value. I put it up at 3,750. Again, retail on it's just over £4,000 for Auto Trader was suggesting, which would place it probably in the mix with the others. But I thought 3,750. We're trying to keep under £4,000 here. I'm happy at 3,750 if we sell it for that. There's not really much need to do to it. I've got a few little touch-ups to do on it just to smart it up and get it in the valet. It does need valeting, but it's been queued up with a lot of other stuff. So like I said there, you can see it's horrible inside, so at the moment just put an awaiting prep sticker in and go from there. But we need to get this to the valeters probably today or Monday, get that in and get it sent off and sorted. But I just thought I'd leave it on the pitch today just in case, because it's a busy day for us Saturday if we get anyone on it. But I might just give it a quick hoover out and a wash just to make it a little bit better, and if it doesn't sell over the weekend we can always get rid of it later on to the valeters. We've also bought this private sale. This is a Kia Venga. We've got one already in stock actually, which is the silver diesel one over there, 1.4 CRDI. That's a really nice thing, priced very sensibly on a 13 plate. But this one's a little bit older. This is a 60 plate in red. This needs a clutch, so it's again a 1.4 diesel, similar-ish miles, a lot cheaper than the last one we bought over there, to be honest with you. But obviously it's in a not as good a nick condition because it needs a little bit of paint on one corner, a bit of lack appeal on, I think it's this corner here. Mind you, we've got a bit of dealer's mist on it. I think it's here, you can't really tell, but when that dries there is a big scale of lacquer there that's come off, so it wants re-lacquering. Car wants buffing up really, touching in a few places, and it wants a clutch, so it's in a line here of other cars that want clutches. Yeah, so we need to put a clutch in that Kia, so we'll organise that. But it's a very cheap car, and I gave 350 quid I think we gave for that, which is a bargain. But there's a day's work there to get that dream just running again, because at the moment it's bit crunchy going into, it's a bit hard going into gears, and we don't know if he's causing any damage to the box because it's in reverse. It's crunching in because it can't quite get, you know, the clutch is obviously falling apart, the fingers, the forks if you like, so it's not engaging properly. So we could put a clutch in that and then realise that the box has got a knackered synchro mesh, in which case you're putting a box in, so then you've lost quite a lot of money in it. So it's a bit of a risk really, but there's plenty of money in it if worst case scenario, so we're not going to get worried about it. It was an obvious thing to buy, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we sell the silver one before this one gets ready, because I don't like having two of the same car on, especially when it's something a little bit nichey. Okay, it's done and back. Say we've seen this before hanging about. I just need to finish this off now. Underneath needs doing, so we need to redo the Schultz line and get underneath and hit it hard with the old Schultz and make sure it's sound as a pound underneath, and make it nice and solid and give it future-proof it a little bit. It's come up lovely. Has got a bit of dealer's mist on it, which is a bit deceiving, but it has been buffed up. I've blacked off the bumpers, but I'm not going to go too much into that because we are going to do a video on that when I've fully done it. But it is looking well. I haven't decided on the price on it yet, but it all depends on how we get it finished off. So I will do a full video on that because I think it's well deserving of a full video. Probably do that in the next few days. Got that Astra back as well. You might have seen that on my last video. Lovely thing. That is so clean for an old Astra. 1.6 petrol. They said I'm going to get that off today. We've done 80,000 miles, but that's a really clean old bird, that car. I'm really pleased with that one as well. We've got the Seat Me in the corner here. That's on the ground now. That's our brake sorted. I need to get that valeted. That's in a big queue of valets. Get that on for sale. Got a 3495, that I think, somewhere around there, maybe 3695. Price it sensibly. Let's see how we get on with that. We've had a few people inquire about it already. It hasn't got any boards in the window, but they've asked about it and sort of inquired how much it's going to be. So we've had a few little bites, so we'll see how that goes. I think these are going to be really popular cars going forward in the budget market. I saw a Volkswagen Up the other day with big miles on, and dealers were sort of scrambling for it. I had to go myself. It was in one of the videos actually, but it did a little bit too much for me. Bear in mind, I'd got one anyway in the Seat form, so I didn't really need to buy it. So, but I think these are like the next sort of Igos, if you like. Cheap tax, small, boxy, 1 litre car, good to run, cheap and reliable. That's my theory, but we'll see going forward what they're like to sell. Hopefully this one should go pretty quickly, fingers crossed. Right, let's have a look in the workshops. Here's the two Corsas on about. These are both sold. What are some work we've got to do to these? This is what you have to do with Corsas. You have to spend so much money on them, but they're so popular, a bit like Fiat 500s really, where you have to just chuck a ruck of money at them. Plus, for our own sake, with a lot of little small things that go wrong on Corsas, which we just do anyway, regardless, but just because they're not worth the hassle coming back, and they're so cheap to do really anyway, that why not just do them and just make sure you don't get any mither. Plus it's a good selling point as well. Main ones we do is chains on them. It's very rare we don't do a chains on these because most of them rattle. So that one's had a chain, but that one actually didn't. That's one of the few we've had recently that didn't need a chain, had no noise whatsoever, so it's been done recently. So that was a good news, but we still have to do the other things on them as well. So like on this one we do, just had a chain on it, had a side casing because the oil pumps can go a bit soft in them, so we had to do that as well. Rocker cover gaskets or rocker covers, we buy the covers themselves. It's probably about 20 quid for the gasket, or online you can buy a whole rocker cover for about 33 quid. It's not worth messing about to buy a rocker cover because they usually leak anyway, plus they have a little valve here that usually goes wrong on them. These here look like a diaphragm in it, so we just change them anyway. Just basically put a new one on it. It's not worth the hassle because it causes them to start idling funny and stuff like that. Also, we scan them all, make sure we've got any codes. These both had stored codes. That one actually had a fault. This one was, as I said, it had a historical fault on it, so we changed it anyway. And the dead common, these little valves here, these, I can't even quite see it. Not until we get a light on it and show you. There we go. This valve here, that's like a purge valve, basically like a valve for the part of the evap system of the emissions. So basically it just recircles it recircles some of the unspent gases back into the inlet system. It's a bit like a recycling system, but it relies on it, the engine does, for obviously those gases coming back through. So it basically calculates that it knows that it's going to have a certain amount of recycled gases going back into the engine. So when they fail, and basically they've got like a diaphragm in them, and when they pack up, they don't open and close properly, so they leak in emissions or leak in gases, or in this case don't shut properly, and then effectively you get like fuel trim lights coming on, which means like it's running lean, because you only have to be ever so slightly out of parameters and throw an engine light on. So the way to take them off, you just take them off and just basically you can blow through them, and I don't mean like like that. You mean you just literally got to blow really hard, but if you've got anything at all, even the slightest bit coming out of it at the back of your end, it's got a little arrow to show you which way the flow is. Then it basically is knackered inside the knackered diaphragm. They only need the slightest leak just to pack up. So we just changed them anyway because they're always common for going. They're about 20 quid, brand new. It's not worth messing about. So we've got a couple of Bosch ones, throw them on. It's little things like this you have to do on them, because if you don't, you send that out and then in 3 weeks' time they go, or a month or 2 months, and they're ringing you up anyway saying, oh, we've got a light on, blah, blah, blah. And just think, do you know what, it ain't worth it. Let's just try and get the really common things just done on them, so they're not ringing us up a month later going, the chain's knackered, or the chain's rattling, or it's got an engine light on, or stuff like that. Now obviously you can't future-proof everything, but you might as well do the bits that are common for going, because otherwise if you don't, then it's just, from our perspective, you're going to have them back, and you've got liability periods as well, so, and warranties to consider. So we always want happy customers, so we have to price all that in obviously when selling these cars. Anyway, that one was the same as well. We didn't need to do a chain on it, but we did put a rock cover gasket on it. It's had a trim valve on it, or purge valve. That one's had 4 shockers, because that was kangarooing down the road, horrible. So, but again, they're not dear. I got 4 shockers for them for 150 quid. I think I've mentioned that before. They both had disc and pads on, brand new. So brand new disc and pads. Brand new disc and pads. Again, they're haggard. The disc looks horrible. The 45, 48 quid for a set of disc and pads. It's just send them out, right? You know what I mean? It's not worth messing about. Set of plates on them as well, just to freshen them up a bit. So the proper car, that's what made them proper cars again. But this is what you have to do with courses. In an ideal world, I wouldn't sell them. But if we do, they're popular, and you have to basically stock what sells. So if we're going to sell them, I've got to make sure they're right. And even then, it doesn't guarantee anything. You know, you're only minimising your risk. Let me just show you this as well. This is our latest addition. Bit of heating, cheap heating. This is a 12-volt little diesel heater we bought. Now I've seen these on YouTube, and a few traders got them as well. Reviews on them are pretty decent. Like I said, I've seen a few traders who've had them and used them, and they're quite a decent little bit of kit. So these are about 95 quid. This is about 95 quid, I think this one was. This is a contained unit, so this is a diesel heater, a bit like a night heater you get in trucks. This is like a Chinese copy of them. This is a built-in one, so it's got like an actual tank inside it. All your pump and everything's all built in. You can just buy the heater separately and do it all yourself, but it's easy just to buy it like this as a contained unit. So this is now running on 12-volt battery. It runs on red diesel, this one. You can also run them on waste oil and kerosene and cooking oil, etc. In the UK, you're only really allowed to use sort of red diesel or kerosene. You can't use waste oil. Well, you can use waste oil, but you have to buy a permit, and the permit's like so expensive it's not worth doing. So in reality, it's red diesel or kerosene. You could run it on cooking oil, but by the time you've filtered it and got it, even though it's probably free to get cooking oil or waste cooking oil, to mess around filtering it and stuff like that, it's just not worth the hassle. So we run it on red diesel. Kerosene probably will be slightly better to run on it. It'll be a bit more efficient in kerosene, because you get more energy out of kerosene than you do to the equivalent amount of red diesel. But ours is just on red diesel because it's just easy to get hold of than kerosene, because you have to buy that in bulk. So it's costed about 75p a litre for the red diesel. It's really, really efficient. I'll put you a link in the description for an engineer who's based in the UK who's tested these a lot more thoroughly than I have, and I've done a bit of research on them. And these are basically working out. This is working out less than 3 pence a kilowatt. It's generating in heat. Now you compare that to sort of electric mains, it would be about 32, 33 pence a kilowatt we'd be currently paying for like an electric heater to be in our office to warm us up, and really it wouldn't warm the room up, let's be honest. So this is like 10 times as cheap than it would be to have an electric heater. So it's costing us pence per kilowatt to run, which is brilliant. And like I say, just put a bit of red diesel in it. And like I said, if you could get it an alternative fuel source, it could even be less than that. But yeah, it's a brilliant bit of kit. So it's, they say you top the tank up there. It's got a little, like I said, pump that runs into basically just it's just like a spiral cylinder with a glow plug in it. It's really simplistic. It's like I think it's a copy of I can never pronounce the name of it. Was it Wabasa or something like that? Or I'll put the name down here. But basically, it's like you get night heaters in trucks. Really conventional, simple system. There's an inlet on one side, an exhaust on the other. As pointing out here, I mean, it doesn't really throw out that much emissions, to be honest with you. They're quite a clean burning thing. We've got some pipes coming off it here. We've got one going into next door, to show you in a sec, and this one here. So that's, if I put my hand there, I mean, literally, I've only got this on the medium setting. That is really, really warm. I mean, you couldn't
like put that there, you can't even hold it for a few seconds. It's kicking out so much heat. Now in reality, this has got an open workshop, so it's not going to heat this room up. It's more just sort of like a place you can gather, like a warming station, you call it, just to basically you can get your hands warm on a cold winter's day. But the main thing is to force heat into our office so we can keep it warm going forward. That's the plan, that's what we've done. So like I said, we've drilled a hole straight through next door, and I'll just quickly show you the vent. Yeah, so this is the heater vent there on the wall. Comes out a little vent. Oh, look at that there, beautiful. Just throwing loads of heat out into this office. Now it's not sweltering here, but it's warm, it's nice. So it's it's just keeping the cold away really. It's just a cheap way of generating heat. Otherwise you'd have to have a little radiator in the corner, electric radiator, because there's no gas central heating or anything in here. Electric cheap radiators are not very efficient, use a lot of electricity, so it's not a very efficient way of heating a place up. So like I said, that there is brilliant for us. It's just kicking out loads of heat and keeping us all snug. So like I say, running on a 12-volt battery. The 12-volt battery lasts for about 3 days on full charge. So if it's fully charged, 3 days, running at about 5 hours a day. And eventually, obviously, the battery will die. And you need to then replace the battery and charge everyone up. Which made me thinking, well, if we're going to charge the battery up, then we're going to plug it into a mains electricity to charge it up, put a normal charger on it, charge the battery up, and then we're paying obviously to charge the battery up 33 pence a kilowatt. So we thought, well, why don't we try and see if we can generate free electricity to charge the battery up, so then we're not actually costing us anything more than the diesel. So what we then did was we got hold of a solar panel, spare one we had, which was someone here has for a caravan that you don't use, and we mounted it on the wall there. So now we've got a 12-volt solar panel, wires running through here to a board. We already had a board, and then basically just throws charge directly into the batteries, charge the battery up. So that will charge. Today it's not sunny, so it's not a great example, but when the sun is out, that will still charge one of those batteries in about an hour. And they did it the other day, went from basically one of the batteries was dead, full an hour later, fully charged. So the solar energy is effectively, even when it's not that bright, it's still trickle charging and putting charge back into the batteries. And when we have a really nice bright day, not only is it recharging those batteries pretty quickly, we can also use it to top up other batteries we got. So we got like spare batteries we keep. I buy a lot of batteries in bulk, used ones off a friend of mine who has a breaker's yard, who breaks cars, and all the bad ones obviously get recycled, but all the good batteries he puts to one side, and I buy them off him, because it's cheaper for me to buy a very good, fairly new battery for 20 quid than it will be to buy a £100 battery, which, you know, from Motor Factors. And bear in mind, a lot of the batteries you get these days from Motor Factors, certain ones from certain companies called Leon batteries or Euro batteries, stuff like that, pretty shocking to say the least. So I'd rather have a decent older type battery than one of these new modern ones, which are not very good. But yeah, so it's a good way of basically just keeping the batteries topped up, so we can just basically bring some batteries, nice sunny day, put the cables on and generate some free electricity.
Right, that's update done. I'm going to have to go because the delivery just arrived of the couple of cars I mentioned, so we're going to find some space. So thank you for watching this one, guys. If you haven't checked out my other videos, make sure you check them out as well. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that because it helps me out immensely. And I will see you all in the next video.